everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings, salutations, nerds around the world. It's been a couple weeks. We got some. We were back last week. We had some technical issues, unfortunately. That's on
Corruption!
me.
It was
I'll take
technical
the heat.
corruption.
I Kathleen Kennedy the show. It's my bad.
I mean, Zaslav. You Zaslav the show. You Zaslav the show.
Zaslav, they said,
You know, it wasn't a tax write-off, but it's never going to be released to the public. So
fair enough. That I take it. Elon Musk will tweet about it a little bit later. Hello. Just learned about some current events with Elon Musk, but there's not this show for that. Either way, neither here nor there. But a lot of interesting stuff, dude. We know we're in the middle of summer. You know, we're closing in on Superman. We're closing in on Fantastic Four. We'll talk about both of those things and two completely different topics related to those things. What do we got? We got Ballerina just coming out in theaters. You John Wick fans out there, I actually like this pretty good.
the Wickiverse, right? We're calling it the Wickiverse.
Yeah, the Wickiverse. It's a good. Yes, true.
I'll take the Wickiverse.
Not to confuse the Wicker Man, of course, with Nicolas Cage.
But
But yeah, so that's actually I did like that. Not as good as any of the John Wicks, but it's still pretty good. But there's a lot of stuff out there, so let's have a little kind of interesting little side nugget here. A what if you will, kind of borrow from Marvel and all that. So apparently, before Superman's coming out, before James Gunn and all that were hired, there were considerations, and there's a couple of things with Superman. We'll talk about the ridiculous one first. And apparently, there was a strong consideration from Mr. Zaslav, of course, who's the head of Warner Brothers, about getting Michael Bay to make the Superman movie.
wow.
Holy shit, dude. Clearly, cooler heads prevail, or
Clearly, but in a world where someone said, Zack Snyder wasn't Snyder enough. We need to go to the source. That's
right.
The OG, straight from the vein.
I mean, Mike. I will say this before we get what that would look like. That would have been a really good move in order to unite the fandom between the Snyderverse and the regular fans, because they'll both be complaining in harmony about Michael Bay, right?
The enemy is my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. We'll bring them together for the first time. Dude, that would have been an atrocity in filming if they would have had Michael. That dude.
But what if he said The Rock Superman?
No, dude.
Even you, that is a bridge too far. I mean, I agree.
That's too much.
Garbage, top to bottom. But yes. I want to see where your loyalties lie.
Listen, I have bounds. My loyalty has got bounds, right? It's got reasons. It's got common sense. I mean, could you imagine just a circular shot? It could have been Lois Lane in a mini skirt. Not that I will complain from a visual standpoint, but as a story standpoint, would have been ridiculous.
Everyone in Metropolis looks sticky.
Oh my god. I mean, oh man, he probably would have got Mark Wahlberg as Superman.
Oh my god! Look,
wow.
Look, I'll say this.
Lois Lane, what's going on? What's Lex Luthor?
Oh my god! I can't believe it! I'm an alien! Oh my god! I can tell my mother.
Oh my god! Just thinking about that.
Look, if you would have told me Michael Bay on like a Predator project, I'm like, cool. That could be fun. Could be fun. But
could it?
No.
I don't know. Does any comic book movie he's got no business being in, as far as I'm concerned. I can't think of a property that would say, you know what, Michael Bay? No, dude,
there was a hot take. It's not perfect, but I did enjoy his Ninja Turtles.
Well, he didn't direct it.
Oh, he produced it. That's right.
He produced it.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. Listen, I like so much Michael Bay stuff in terms of just entertainment. I like The Rock or The Rock and
Armageddon's fun.
Armageddon. Pain and Gain was actually underrated.
Right. Pain and Gain, very underrated movie.
Underrated movie. Yeah. So he's had his moments. It's not but he's mainly trash. And
right.
This Superman would have been. Yeah, it would have made Zack Snyder's verse like
Don't forget.
Citizen Kane of superhero films for sure.
Don't forget Bad Boys also. Gotta give as Miami guys. As Miami, I like
Miami guy.
Bad Boys 1 and 2. I'm in.
The one for me. But people like them. I get it. I like the last two Bad Boys much better than the first two Bad Boys.
Well, that had nothing to do with Michael Bay except for that cameo.
It's not a mystery what the secret ingredient is. Or what It is what it is. But that, God, I don't know what the hell. What, even thinking that from Zach, this just shows that, the heads of these studios, executives, really don't know what the hell's going on. Because I am sure people in the room are like, okay, dude, calm down.
Yeah.
Let's
did you not see what Zack Snyder did? What did you think it was going to be different?
Right.
It would have
been worse, I think.
Of course it would have been worse.
It would have been worse. That's a sad statement. Then again, listen, I did like Man of Steel a lot. But overall, Michael Bay would have been if you didn't like Man of Steel, this would have been 1,000 times worse. Man.
I've said it very often. I'm fine. It's not great. I'm fine with Man of Steel, except for how Jonathan Kent died and the type of lesson he taught his son. I was like, ugh, that's my biggest gripe, is the whole Jonathan Kent of it all. But overall, it's a fine movie. It's not the worst. It's fine. It is. Yeah.
Michael Bay would have been. Oh my God. Probably like 6 hours long. Not that Zack Snyder has anything to say about.
No, Zack Snyder does. No, but Michael Bay is tight. He's like 210. It's gonna be the max. And it's going to be right in.
230, 235. But either way, it would have 210 of nonsense.
The fights would have been really up close. You couldn't see anything.
Explosions out of nowhere. Yeah. The camera kind of turns around for surrounding. What a disaster.
All right. Wait,
but conversely,
before we go, you mentioned this earlier, so I got to pick your brain. Who would have been his Lois Lane? Forget Superman. Who would have been his Lois Lane? Because Lois Lane is going to be way too sexy for the job she had. So who would have been the Lois Lane?
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think that's she's your classic Michael Bay. I mean, she's got more talent than Megan Fox by far.
Right.
But
Megan Fox, I think, would have been a contender, though. Megan Fox would have been a contender.
I think she aged out of that, I think.
Okay, fair.
I think Sydney Sweeney would have been the one. She's the one that just jumps out because, she's hot, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would have been just exactly what he's looking for. That would have been a really bad match. I don't think that.
No, it's not good. I just want to know what you thought.
Yeah, I would say for sure. Without question, it'd be her, no doubt. I think Mark Wahlberg, jokes aside, Wahlberg probably would have been like Lex Luthor or something.
Even worse.
Worse. Even worse.
Worse.
Listen, there's not a lot good at Michael Bay. Let's just call it what it is, man.
I would have said I would have gone completely the other way, where he would have got like Joe Pesci to be.
Oh my God! Can you imagine that? Oh God! It's just thinking about it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But conversely, though, there was also in relation to Superman, another director who's got a little more credibility in terms of the quality of films, as Christopher McQuarrie, who's obviously Mission Impossible. He's done a lot of other good stuff. I guess he had a version of Superman back in the day. I guess a sequel to Man of Steel, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you heard something about what.
Yeah,
a little bit of at least what the beginning would have been like.
Right, his take, and he didn't give the whole premise out. He just said it would have been really epic and awesome. And because I think he's a pretty decent director, watch Mission Impossible. The guy knows how to tell a story.
For sure.
He said that his movie would have been structured like Up, where the first 15 minutes is complete quiet, and you're just seeing the visual fundamentals about what makes Superman, his strengths and his fears. And then the rest of the movie would have been him processing that in detail and learning, like, this is how it would make Superman strong, and this is what he's scared of, and how those fears can be used against him, but his strength helps him overcome at the end. It sounds like pretty. It almost like if you ever read All-Star Superman, which is one of the comic books that James Gunn said he's basing Superman off of. The first page is just like a bunch of panels, quiet, snapshotting, like born in a distant planet, family explodes, shoots away, found by Mom and Pa Kent, Superman. That's like, it told the entire origin like in 4 panels with just like 3-word caption bubbles. Boom, 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 boom on each one. I was like, that's pretty awesome. So it sounds like he kind of got inspired by that and would have made it 15 minutes like Up. Sounds good to me. You could do a lot in 15 minutes and really set the groundwork. So, yeah.
It's a good story to it. I mean, listen, and I think Edge of Tomorrow's in the movie that he did, which I really enjoyed, of course.
That's a really good movie, too.
It's a really good movie. So, listen, that would have been infinitely better than anything Michael Bay would have come up with, to tell you right now.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So
there's no Michael Bay movie that's ever silent unless a massive bomb just went off, and it was like that's the only time you get quiet in a Michael Bay movie. And even then,
his movie should be silent.
It should be.
His visuals aren't the worst. fine, but it's a nonsense. But yeah, that would have been an interesting choice as far as McQuarrie. And
Yeah.
you never know. Listen, James Gunn is not going to direct every damn movie for
Sure.
the DCU, so comes a knock on the door, Mr. Gunn. Nice to meet you. Maybe it takes a meeting. I don't know.
Sure.
Potentially, why not? He's a good director. He really is.
Maybe Flash. Put it out there. Maybe an Aquaman.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
I think Flash, I think, would be a little better for. I think personally,
It's more dynamic. Yeah. So
yeah. So I think that could be very interesting. So, but yeah, so that's kind of interesting story there. Next up, let's go to Marvel. We're gonna switch it up here. We had a slight conversation, which technical difficulties be damned, with Daredevil.
Yes.
We got season 2 coming up. It was actually a production picture that came out that had a picture of what's her name?
It was a young Puerto Rican actress who becomes the new White Tiger.
White Tiger, right?
Yeah.
So it's obviously, spoilers be damned. Apparently, she's going to be in.
It's the building of the army. It's the building of the army.
Right, exactly.
The army, they're building the army.
To what capacity, we don't know how. But obviously, probably did some training, taking the mantle from her father, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We know Jessica Jones is going to be in it. Uncle. Jessica Jones is going to be in it as well.
Yeah,
we know that. Too. I'm not sure if Punisher was going to be in there or not. I don't remember.
I'm sure he is. It's
they haven't said anything.
Kind of hand in hand at this point.
Right. Exactly. So that's interesting. But the real story here is a couple of things tied to this because, streaming has always been a big issue the last few years, right? The rise of streaming, the cost of streaming, and numbers and viewership and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Disney has not had a great success when it comes to their shows in terms of viewership numbers and all that, right?
Yeah.
But Daredevil was an example where, we both liked it. I think it was amazing. I think it was great. It was fine. It was one of the better Disney shows, MCU shows anyway. But the ratings were pretty bad.
That's what I heard.
And at no point in this entirety of the season did it ever enter the Nielsen top 10 for streaming at all.
That's crazy.
That's the first and only show from the MCU that's failed to do so.
Right.
That's not good because we've seen other shows a lot worse than
Daredevil. Agatha was a big hit.
Agatha did well, yeah, but there was other shows that had that are worse than Daredevil. That's made it in there, right?
Yeah.
Daredevil was the one that actually I thought hit for the most part, and nobody cared. I don't know, was this a product of maybe just the MCU and losing a lot of credit with the fans? We've seen that with the last 2 films, Thunderbolts and Captain America. Maybe was this one situation I mentioned that people maybe hadn't seen the original the Netflix series. They're like, well, I'm already behind 3 seasons. Why am I going to go back to this one?
Yeah.
That's possible. I don't know. Maybe, but it's interesting because they were already filming season 2, and I wonder if they even would have done season 2 had they known this prior.
Right.
And the question remains, this show really needs to do well because it's a good chance we won't get season 3.
Yeah.
It's a really good chance. The director, writer of Andor, he talked about, he had a meeting with Iger or whatever the case is, and he basically was told, the Iger with big wigs at Disney, that they were kind of leaning away from doing streaming. It wasn't going well. It was very expensive. Andor was incredibly expensive, and is it worth it? You mentioned, we talked before we went on air about how many billions of dollars they lost.
They lost $4 billion.
That's a lot of cheddar.
And just to let you know, and put it in context, both seasons of Andor is $600 million. So technically, Andor is responsible for almost $1 billion of the 4.
Yeah, it's a lot, and and that's why and the problem is that I don't think they know how to do streaming well. I think we all agreed on that they just haven't been able to really crack that code, right, in terms of making good television or know what to do, right? They already mentioned a couple of weeks ago that they were no longer going to be using
movie
characters for
in
TV
their
shows.
Right.
Vision will be an exception because that was already in the works.
Right.
And I assume Wonder Man may or may not be moving forward. I don't know. Ironheart, nobody cares anyway where she's going to be. But no, yeah, it's a disaster, dude. It's a disaster, clearly. And these ratings are indication that, I don't know, maybe you won't see this kind of shows anymore in Disney. And I don't think that would be a bad thing, to be honest with you.
I will be a little bit bummed out, but at the same time, I think inadvertently Star Wars kind of figured out the way it should do, which is you make movies or you make TV series that if it gets popular enough, go to a movie like Mandalorian. But if not, just keep it in the movies. So Star
Wars for sure should be theatrical only. It
Absolutely.
really should, and I think they just the pendulum swung so much. Like, let's just do streaming was the big rage, right? And I get it,
Right.
and to some degree, it is if you know what you're doing,
Yes.
right? Or can afford to, like Apple, for example. They do great, but they lose a lot of money. But it's Apple; their pockets are way deeper than Disney's,
Uh-huh.
so they can
Uh-huh.
afford it. They can take a loss and
And,
whatever.
until Disney's selling like a hard drive space to the military, yeah, you need to
Right,
be very
exactly.
concise, right?
This is a hobby for Apple, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But to their credit, they're cooking over
Yeah.
at Apple Plus. They bring us some quality shows consistently.
Because they came in with the idea of like we're going to make TV series, not movies split into
Exactly.
episodes.
Just say, or expanding someone's, or whatever, or Star
Right.
Wars. Just, I mean, being Kathleen Kennedy, it's a mess, right? So whatever. But this is interesting, man. As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather see Star Wars just stricken movies. Let's just keep it there. MCU, whatever. I mean, I don't think if you haven't seen one of the shows, I don't think that's affected the viewing of the films. Am I
Right.
wrong?
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, WandaVision to Doctor Strange was a complete whoa, 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 whoa. Like that was.
yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, my wife and my stepdaughter, they
But
saw it.
people who didn't watch the TV series enjoyed the movie as like, oh, that's what's happened in the movie. But people who watched the TV series were like, what's going on there? That doesn't match up to the what we saw.
Right.
And that
That was the only one. But like I said, my wife and the stepdaughter, they hadn't seen WandaVision. They were fine with
right,
it.
that's
Right?
what I'm
So,
saying. Yeah. And no, if you didn't watch the TV series, you probably had a better time. Honestly,
probably.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So say it's just an odd thing, and I don't know if the world's interested. If they're not getting a lot of viewership now, how would they feel about getting characters that are not going to be in the movies? Right. It's
Right.
going to be a harder sell at that point. The
Which
quality
is
needs
why
to
I
be
said which is why I said
high.
if the show is popular, then you get to graduate to a movie. But if it's
Or
not,
whatever.
you
Or
stick
yeah.
into the series.
Exactly, or continue the show, whatever the case is, right? So I think
Right.
that's the route they should be going, because right now
Right.
it's just all hands off deck. It's not working out at all. And speaking
Bit
of
of a
not
bummer.
working,
I got to be honest with you. I've liked a lot of the effort that Disney Plus has put in. I maybe have not liked every show, but I've liked a lot of them. If it wasn't for Disney Plus and bad management, I never would have had a Moon Knight series, and I'm very happy that I got a Moon Knight series. So, I mean, I'll take the little
fair, I
victories I can
guess,
here and there,
yeah,
but overall, I understand.
yeah, no, I get it. And let's see how they change gears aside from just doing the non-movie characters and stuff.
Right,
I don't think that's if you're trying to make. I mean, listen, if you're making them again, it goes back to managing the money, right?
sure,
Even some of these movies, these budgets are just ridiculous. There's no need
absolutely.
for, even Thunderbolts are 180, 200. There's no, that movie should never have been that high. It really shouldn't
Should
have.
have
It could
been
have
150.
went 120, really, right? You could have
I mean,
minimized
yeah,
CGI, and if you really wanted to, it is what it. But the issue is when you put all this ensemble casts.
yeah,
For this is all their second or third projects as far as the characters. You got to
right,
pay them more. So
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
issue. It is what it is, right? But even Captain America was a different situation with reshoots and stuff.
right.
It probably was too expensive anyway, but whatever. So let's see. But that said, let's stay with disasters. We talk Star Wars, so let's stay there. We know how this is going. But as an interesting news that just came out, so I haven't gotten the full scope of it yet. But it's about Kathleen Kennedy. We know all the word she's stepping down at some point.
Is
When
she
that
cage
is,
fighting Wookiees barehanded like Wolverine in the beginning of X-Men? Is that it? Kind of awesome.
maybe I would.
Parkour?
Be kind
Like
of
a
cool.
Fight Club?
That'd be awesome. She can fight herself. But we all take turns fighting her. I don't know, whatever.
I don't want to. I'll just watch. I'm a spectator. Eat popcorn.
She
That's all I'm doing.
ruined Star Wars. She deserves a good slap in the face.
As long as you
kidding.
consensually wanted to be there, I got no problem.
Well, no, if you
I'm
win
all
the
about
fight, then
consent.
if it's a legal fight and it's a rule, and hey, I'll bet you off at that point, right?
That's it.
But replacements wise, I guess the word is, it's an article. I want to say it's Deadline or something. So it's
All right.
one of the big trades saying that it looks like potentially could be Dave Filoni.
That's been around the rumor mill for
Right,
forever.
for a little bit, right? Along with someone, along with Carrie Beck, who's
Okay.
both in she's a veteran, of course, Star Wars and all that. Taking a co-lead, kind of like James Gunn and Safran roles in DC. Kind of.
Right.
I know there was also some quotes in the article from some inside folks in Star Wars concerns about Filoni. He's saying here, I pulled this part out. He said, but the knock against Filoni is that he might be too steeped into Star Wars lore and risks steering a show into dense mythology that loses a broader audience. He's not the Andor guy. He's the Ahsoka guy. Direct quote. Ouch. Um,
That's
that's that. Okay,
yeah.
he's not wrong. Honestly, and I didn't like Filoni. I didn't want him anywhere near Star Wars stuff. I really didn't.
I like Filoni, so
And
we're different houses of this. But I will say, if you, I honestly feel this way. If you would show regular person Andor and Ahsoka, I can honestly say most regular people were going to probably pivot towards Andor.
oh well, yeah, sure. Any other Star Wars show versus Andor, you probably gonna choose Andor for the most
I
part.
mean, I will think I think Mandalorian has a good chance.
Perhaps.
I think Skeleton Crew stands out, but
I think
not.
it was fine, but it was
I'm not as the greatest, but I'm saying
like
people are like, oh, that's kind of fun. I like that.
I'll say this: it's my concern with Filoni, right? Because number one, he hasn't really given us anything good. He just hasn't. I've rather seen John Favreau do it, right? We know what he can do, and he's given us something, right?
Right.
Fair enough. He hasn't done anything, and you're gonna put him to head the studio. Huge mistake. Kathleen Kennedy, who is a world-class producer, who did many good films, Oscar-winning films, galore, up and down, couldn't
handle Star Wars.
The studio. It's a different job. It really is, right? Not everyone's Kevin Feige. We've seen that.
Right. And even Feige drops the ball sometimes.
And even Feige, yeah, exactly. It's been like overwhelmed, or whatever you want to call it. At some point, has been the MCU is taking a dip. Let's just call it what it is.
Sure.
So Filoni's got no experience in any of this stuff. Is he the guy you want on there heading the studio? You tell me he's a producer. Fine. Give us some shitty Ahsoka again, part 2, and they'll eventually fire his dumbass. Do you really want? I mean, James Gunn. We don't know what he's gonna be like either. We haven't seen anything yet. I don't know. Maybe Superman's fantastic. Maybe it's I don't know.
Right.
We know Kevin Feige. And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, but also, no one knew Feige until Feige started Feige. So,
but Feige was producing films, though.
He'd been on a bunch of movies, but we didn't know how he was going to be as the head.
Agreed, of course.
Producer,
But he experienced producing films in a lane that Filoni just doesn't have that experience in.
Well, he's had it with animation. That's been his big go-to. Real
animated, right? He was more a writer, more involved in the creative process. He wasn't the head of the studio. Is a different job, and even Kathleen Kennedy, with all her credentials, wasn't up to the task, and it's a lot. I just don't know if you're gonna put this guy in there who has no experience, right, other than just on the creative side, and put him in there.
Right. Well, that's why you have the other guy as going to be his stuff on, right? That he's going to be the budget guy.
But that's another one. Not a head of a studio, not a producer, right? She's more of a numbers guy. And again, that's what DC's trying, but the jury's out. We don't know. But I would trust James Gunn more from the creative side than would Dave Filoni. We see more out of him.
Because he handles a lot more live action stuff, so you know what his output is, right?
He's had a lot of success. We've seen his movies. We like his stuff. We've seen that, right? Even David Safran, who's been behind the scenes for years.
Pretty much almost all the movies anyway, right?
Right, yeah. Exactly. So he's got that. Particularly, he's more the money, the budget side, right? So I don't know. I don't like this at all, and I hope this is not true. I hope it's not the case. And again, you got people inside Disney saying red flags on Filoni, right? And those are people who see him every day. We just see him as outsiders,
right?
And we have issues. People inside who see him all the time have issues. That's not good. That's not a good thing. People inside on board. What are we doing?
Do we know if the people who are saying, "Oh, he's the Ahsoka guy, not the Andor guy," how do we know that they're not? And you're gonna be like, "That's impossible," but it is what it is. They could be Kathleen Kennedy loyalists who are just mad that he's gonna be maybe taking her job, and so they're kind of trying to muddy the water up a bit too. That's also an option. So maybe, I don't know.
We don't know, but we do know Filoni's record live action is dog shit. Let's just call it what it is. Let's be honest. And this is what it is. It's dog shit. It's not good. It's not good. Right? I mean, I'm not wrong here. I mean, it was Dave Favreau had a complete autonomy with Mandalorian. I'm not giving Filoni any fucking credit for that. Not even a smidgen of credit for that. Ahsoka was terrible.
So you're saying
was not a good show.
So you're saying Mandalorian was all Favreau, like doing that?
Absolutely. He did all the heavy lifting.
I mean,
100%.
Because of I know Favreau's body of work, you're not wrong.
That's
I
what
feel
I'm
like
saying, right?
he's
Right.
got a lot of, like he has a very good, like whether you watch something silly like Elf, even the tour that wasn't a big hit, it was very smartly done. Jungle Book, another like not great but a fun, good, solid movie.
Yeah.
And then you watch the Iron Man. Now Iron Man 2, not great, but
Not
was
great.
made under extraneous circumstances. But I
Correct.
tell you what,
It got
after
rushed.
some of the movies I've seen recently, it actually stands up a little bit better than you remember. You're like,
This 100%, no argument there, right? So
you know,
we
so
know,
like
you said, if you
I
told me, John,
you
yeah,
take a lot of consideration into
of
everything. I
course,
get it. I get it.
and I
I'm
think
agreeing with you, but I'm also
both wanted Favre as the guy, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah.
but a much better choice. Whatever, who knows behind the scenes? I never heard he wasn't happy. Whatever, it is what it is. But I just don't know he's the right guy. And as bad as Kathleen Kennedy is, I don't think this is how you want to come out of the gate with Dave Filoni running it. I really don't. You're trying to get the fan base behind you, and I don't know if Dave Filoni.
I almost feel like for Star Wars to work, they need to take the lesson they're trying to take from DC. They should take it but add one more, which is you have your main producer, right? Your Kevin Feige situation or James Gunn situation. You have the money guy, your Saffron position, and then you have your. It's a position that Feige also has in Marvel Comics, where it's like the chief creative officer. So he just presents all the ideas. Like, these ideas would be great for Star Wars. And then the money guy goes, this is a budget we can do. And then the producer guy, the Feige guy, goes, this, not that, this, not that.
Right. Filoni's shouldn't be that guy, is what I'm saying.
No, Filoni should be the creative guy. He should be like, these ideas are the best stuff we got with Star Wars. Then the Saffron guy approves, like, to make these work within our numbers, it's got to be done within this budget. And then the Feige guy goes, yes, no,
right.
yes.
The Feige guy has to, spearhead whatever the plan. That's what I'm saying, right? And listen, you put Filoni in a creative position, fine, I guess. But it's not what they're talking about.
Filoni does every project that he's done in concept is cool. The concept of every Filoni project is cool. The execution isn't 100%. But the concept is cool, which is why you make him the creative officer. The guy who's like, these are the best pitches we got.
I think you could give him like a show or something. Because my issue is that with Star Wars, and I think this is one of the issues with Filoni, he can't get away from the timeline that we're in currently. Right?
Oh, you feel so? You're saying look, he won't think future Star Wars, just mining existing.
Right.
Okay.
Of which he doesn't do well to begin with, right? So if you tell me he's knocking out of the park now,
right?
Fine, but he's dog shit now in ideas which aren't going to expand this universe where it needs to go. Right? Star Wars needs a new direction. It can't continue this mining the same shit. It's just not going to work.
Right. You got to go out.
You got to go out and change gears.
Say what you will about the MCU. They're always going forward. They're always like, now this, now this, now this. I mean,
that's true. Absolutely. It may not be executed well, but at least the idea is there, right? And that's fine. But we hear like the Ryan Reynolds movie, taking place down the road or whatever. Yeah. Let's see, right? Sure. But that's what I'm saying. I think Filoni, he's so knee deep into that Clone War era, and I get it. His mind,
or even the Mando era, because Ahsoka is in the Mando era too.
Right, so. But all characters based, not well, at least Ahsoka based off that era. But that's his wheelhouse, and I get, and that's fine. But we need to think more. We need to think beyond that. The Star Wars. I'm just saying.
We need to think now after the Rise of Skywalker. Like that has like what happens after that. Because we've done it. So now
beyond that.
What's
exactly.
Next?
Let's not go back. Let's not go.
Right. And you can have Babu Frick show up. Whatever, but move forward. Like
move forward. Yeah.
As I'm saying, like, you could have.
You want to do a show here, a show there. Yeah,
sure,
like an Andor here and there. That's fine. But it can't be the basis of the entire universe.
Right.
And that's the thing, right? I for sure, I don't think Filoni is capable of doing that. He hasn't displayed
that. I feel like I can't even make that, because I feel like I want to believe he can, but once again, proof is in the pudding. I haven't seen him be able to.
That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, you can still use him for consultation, creative stuff. I'm fine with that. That's okay, right? As long as he's not the last line of defense.
But at the same time, then I go back to that quote you just said, because Andor was in the middle of the OG trilogy too. Like, so, like, what do we think?
It was, and that worked. But if it's assume we take all the shows out and just have Andor, that would have worked great, right? For me, I just want to move forward. You can have a show or two in that era every so often. That's fine, but not every show is in that era. That's my point, right? Like,
All right.
we got Ben Kenobi, Mandalorian, Andor, Ahsoka. It's even the Acolyte. Acolyte. It's all been there,
Yeah.
right? We can't get past any of this stuff, and that's what I'm talking about. We need to branch away. You can still have a show here and there, and that's okay. But we want to go in the future, or go way past whatever, right? I know the James Mango movie is still happening. That was supposed to be 10,000 years back, whatever it was, right? I think we heard.
Yeah.
3 years later, still waiting. Talk about Blade, but yeah, so that's interesting. Again, this is just a report. It's nothing obviously to have any kind of form of announcement, but it's a bit concerning, and I hope they change it. The fan base will be like, if they're gonna talk shit like they normally do, that's what Star Wars fans do. This is who we are. Maybe it falls on deaf ears, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we need to hire whoever. Get an unknown for what I don't care, right? The guy at the head can bring in people to run that creative process. Like, it ain't just Feige by himself, right? He surrounded himself with good people, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. And good directors, and like James Gunn, James Favreau. That helps, right? I don't know if Filoni has that kind of clout to bring in that kind of talent. I don't know. I question that. That said, we'll go back to MCU in a second. But a quick little trailer drop today. I kind of want to mention. Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Alien Earth coming out, and Hulu, Disney. Speaking of Disney, in a couple months, pretty soon. We were itching for a trailer to this. We got teaser, but they didn't show us shit.
Right.
We finally got a taste of what Alien Earth is supposed to be, or what it is anyway. So, Eric, you saw it. Your thoughts? And
I got to tell you, the beginning of the trailer, I thought this was like a weird A24 movie.
That's fair.
Like, we're going to transfer your vein into this exotic body because it's special. I was like, oh man, this is going to be crazy. And then I was like, oh, aliens. Okay, cool. Awesome. But
there you go.
Like I said, it looked interesting. It's so interesting that I didn't even know what I was watching until they showed. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you're right. Like, if it hadn't known it was an alien trailer and just watch this trailer, I'd be like, okay, this is cool sci-fi. What are we doing here? And then, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not until you see the corporation that funds all the mining services, and you're like, okay, all right, aliens, got it, okay.
You got a little xenomorph action that showed up real quick, and I think it's other aliens as well, apparently, right? I guess.
Other
species is what I gather. I guess whatever ship gathered several 4 or 5 species, one of them being a xenomorph. This is more interesting than I thought it was going to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to. I thought, alien crashes on and he's killing everything. I don't know, right? Just
we've seen that, but this is a very. It's a subtle shift, but it makes it very interesting. Like, and that goes to show how untapped how truly untapped the xenomorph universe is. Like, there's so much we've only kind of done a very much like. I feel like Aliens or Predator usually are the kind of movie premises which is you could do, which is, in fact, Hulu has it as well. Aliens Killer of Killers. Have you seen the trailer for that? Predator.
It comes out tomorrow. I heard it's really good. That's like an anime, different time period. It looks fantastic.
But Predator, like Aliens, always works in his premise, which is like it's a movie and then this shows up and it becomes a different movie. So, if you watch the first Predator, it's a military movie about a hostage situation, and then a Predator shows up. You watch any except for Aliens.
Even Predator 2, and it was like the
street
level, the gang wars.
There's a gang war, and then Aliens
guy,
shows up.
Whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Xenomorphs, it's always we're looking for this, and we're going to sacrifice as many people to get this genetic material to make our own. So it's literally only 2 premises. So anytime you do something different, you're like, oh, this could be totally awesome now. Which is why we also have that Predator movie where we're seeing like Predator Badlands. It's on their planet. It's a whole different, like, cool.
That looks interesting, right? And
that looks really interesting. So it's really, a very untapped.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad both franchises are heading towards something different. Because even Prey, I love Prey, was still
Predator movie.
In essence,
just
the
from
basic,
a different perspective.
Right, exactly. So now we're going because this is the only way that really is going to be successful. I think you can't keep doing the same thing. Even though that's Alien film Romulus, which I liked.
Right.
It's still your basic Alien movie, right? Which is fine, but we need to do something more. So this show looks like it's giving us something more. So I'm kind of excited about that. And you're right, that Badlands is another one. Which, that looks pretty cool. Because even the Predator doesn't look like Your classic
typical
Predator.
Predator, right?
Right. When I saw
He
him, like,
looks
where's the
younger
yeah,
and in a weird way, the
weird
most
face.
handsome of the ugly Predators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, okay, this is not what I expect, but that's cool. I like that. Do something different with it. Whether it works or
Yeah,
not, we'll soon see. But at
sure.
least, yes, branch out. Cause that's the only. Cause I love both these franchises. I really do.
Like, I'll tell you
Um,
what. Speaking of Nerdsplaining, let's get to this. There's a miniseries right now called Spider-Man versus Predator. Okay, and
ooh,
here's the kicker: the Predator that's in New York hunting Spider-Man is not a regular Predator. It is a Predator serial killer. He's not doing it for honor. He's doing it for the compulsion, the need to murder. And so think of
interesting.
like Dexter, but as a Predator, and he's in New York, and Spider-Man's on his trail. So he's almost like he's not hunting Spider-Man. Spider-Man just found out what he was doing, and he's like, I gotta kill
Yeah,
this
that's
red and
interesting.
blue dude because I want to keep wearing people's faces, and like he's a serial. It's really cool.
Do you think a Predator? Is he a Predator fight Spider-Man? Spider-Man would win? I don't know.
I mean, strength-wise, yeah, Spider-Man is super strong.
Well, Predator's strong. We don't know how strong the
But
Predator
no,
is.
but
We know
Spider-Man like could pick up a
I would
car.
assume he'd be stronger, but I know he doesn't have the weaponry and the technology. Yeah, it's
But
interesting.
he's
That's an
got
interesting
spider
little.
sense. He's got
He
spider
does. He
sense.
does. That's a really interesting battle there. We
Yeah.
kind of
I mean, and
cool to see
Marvel's been
that.
doing really cool. Like Marvel did Wolverine versus Predator, which is really fun.
Well,
They did
sure.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
They did Predator versus Black Panther, which was good, not as good as Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
The Spider-Man's coming out really good, and they also did Avengers versus Aliens, which is dope too because they own
Oh,
both those properties now. So
that's
it's
pretty dope.
really yeah. I mean, if you're an Alien or Predator fan, you're eating good because
Yeah,
there's a lot of good stuff out there.
it's amazing what you do with these characters. I just wish
Yeah,
they put them in better films.
I agree. I agree.
But the last one for each, to be fair, Romulus and Prey were good.
Pretty
Prey was
solid.
Prey
Pretty
was better.
solid. Yeah.
But Romulus was still decent, right? It's good, one of the better.
Right.
For what again, because we got so many shitty sequels of them.
Once
And
again, in comparison, you're like out of so many bad.
right,
When you get a good one, you're like, you got to give
yeah,
credit where credit's due.
the bar was really low after a while. So
Yeah,
both
as long as
those
you're
movies
crossing the
raised
bar,
it.
man, I don't care
No,
where
no,
it's
that's what
placed.
I'm saying. Both those films crossed it by far,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because the bar is really low. So they kind of reset the bar, and I was like, okay, now we want something
Sure,
new. So
sure.
it looks good. And I'm impressed by this. So let's see. I think it's September. Was it? Oh, no, July.
I don't
I
remember
forget
actually.
now. I don't remember. Whatever. It's pretty soon. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, when the show drops, no doubt. And the last thing here, let's go to Fantastic Four, right? That's the next big thing, obviously. But at the Superman, I'll be in Comic Cons. I'll be missing the movie, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. They might have an early screening. I don't know. But they had a screening of this apparently. Interesting reactions to the screening. Stories changing. I don't know what's true. I don't even know what the hell's going on with the screening. But they had the screening, and apparently
I heard it was in a straight screening. It was like something called an assembly cut.
Yeah, it's basically it's almost unfinished for the most part.
Right, right.
For the most of the scenes are there and all that. And most screenings don't have a full as far as the CGI. Cause
Sure.
they're still working until last minute, right? It is what
Yeah.
it is. But for the most part, it's almost a full almost version of film version of the movie. There was we'll get this they talk about this in a second, but they did talk about they leaked. They got
The
leaked
post credit
anyway,
scene.
the post credit scene, which I'll get a theory on that in a second. But yeah, so reaction wise, right? Mixed from what I was reading. One of the inside guys, Daniel Snyder, he talked about it. Talked to a couple people. They thought it was meh. Consensus wise, everyone loved Galactus,
Yeah.
right? That was good, scary, all that, great. But then on the other side, the lack of several people saying this, not me, lack of character development.
I heard the
which is
character
concerning.
development was lacking to some of the characters while overemphasizing others. So it was unevenly
Uneven,
distributed.
right? Uneven. Yeah, I think the things barely in it. The powers of Mr. Fantastic are barely on display.
Right. Like they focus more on Mr. Fantastic, the character, than they do the superpower, which
Right.
could be interesting, but we'll see.
Right. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen. This is what they're saying, right? So it wasn't like, oh shit, let's get ready for Fantastic Four.
Right.
I don't think anything screamed of that.
Sure.
Again, this is a test screening, whatever that's worth. Right? Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not.
Sure.
So before we get to the end credit scene, but I mean, does this worry at all?
It doesn't because
you know,
I feel like even though they say, hey, it's an assembly cut, so people are just gonna see something and go, oh, it doesn't look finished, so it must be bad. Like they just take it as like this is what they think we're gonna watch, and it's happened
Maybe.
so many times where there's been assembly cuts before, and people watch it and they go, "Oh, the movie looks so cheap," and then the movie comes out like, "What are they talking about? The movie was great." It's because they say this is an assembly cut, this is in production,
Sure.
and they just think, "Oh, that means it was, but now it's done. That's why I'm watching it," and they just don't put two and two together. So I always say the people who probably really liked it are the people who understood it and they're fans, so they can look past the shortcomings, and the people who didn't like it could not understand why the movie looked like that, even though they were given all the warnings up. So I feel like whatever the aggregation, the on average review is, that's probably what most people feel like once the movie comes out. That's how I kind of treat it.
I mean,
Because
it
no one said it was
depends.
bad. They said
No, it's just bad. It was just okay. Which has been my issue. It's just been okay,
right,
right? And
right. But
we said Fantastic Four needs to be more than just okay,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely,
It's got to be way and like Superman. Let's be fair, but on both sides, they each have
right.
to be really, really good, great,
Yeah,
whatever. A plus
yeah.
is A's, whatever. Um, who knows? We hear reports all the time that hey, they hate it and it's great, or they love it and it's not good.
Right.
So I don't know what to make of this, to be honest with
Sure.
you. We'll see. But the end credit scene now, and I'll say this now. If anybody believes that's the end credit scene,
I don't believe it.
I can't help you.
I think they did that just to get because they knew
Of
people are going to talk about it.
course they did
That
that. Come on. Anybody, I heard people, oh, look, they're not going to show that scene and let it spoil. They're
absolutely
not.
not.
They did it on purpose. And the scene was, I guess, supposed to be Doom, because with the mask, and it's not
Right.
Downey Jr., it's just someone
Right.
with the mask. I
Right.
guess he's holding the baby,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Franklin.
Frankly, yeah, and he disappears or takes him away or whatever, kidnaps him,
Well, I
whatever the
heard
case
no.
is,
He
or
just
something.
stops
Yeah,
and like before anybody says
I
it, it cuts. So
guess.
you don't even get to see. The
Okay, so
right.
yeah, okay, there you go. So something like that, implying that Franklin be part of the next series or whatever. I think his powers have something to do with the
Well, yeah, because
right.
he's a reality warper.
Right,
So
that's
yeah.
what it is. I mean, I don't know how old he is in this movie, but whatever.
Well, he's a
Uh,
baby, but apparently they're gonna age him up to be closer to where he is in the comic books right now. So it's gonna be one of those things.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I think he was still a baby in the end credit scene, from what they said.
Right, he's still a baby, but like I think by the
Right.
time Secret War shows up, he'll be aged up.
Oh no, that's my point. But in the film, I'm saying the film.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, I guess whatever. Either way, bullshit. This is not the end credit scene. If you believe that, nonsense. Don't believe it. It's not true. Don't get excited.
It was done for you to talk about it. That's
exactly
why.
what. There's no way Kevin Feige and his right mind would ever release that, because there's going to be spoilers for the most part. It always
Absolutely.
is. The spoilers not
Absolutely.
without screenings. So this is done on purpose. It's bullshit. If people, you believe it, don't. It's not true. I can guarantee that 100%. Not knowing anything, no chance. No chance at all that happens. It's gonna be something else, and we don't know if Demon Doom's gonna be in this film.
Right.
And it doesn't appear like it, because I think that may have leaked. I think if Doom was in there, as far as not credits.
Oh
in the
yeah,
actual
yeah.
film.
Right. In the actual movie. Right.
Right. I guess came out.
Even
that
though
leaked for sure.
once again talking about leaks in the movie, they said there's a scene where Mr. Fantastic is talking to a bunch of world leaders, and there's a camera that says Latveria, but it's like there's no one in the room.
Right.
So like it's establishing that Latveria's there, but they're saying Doom isn't there, so implying where is Doom, but they don't harp on it. It's just a visual thing to let you know,
it's like a little clue, Easter egg,
right?
But yeah, it doesn't seem like he's in it. I'm sure that would have leaked out. The guarantee
Sure.
that would leak out. There's no chance it would not have leaked out. So I don't think he's going to be in the film. Is he in the end credit scene? I guess.
If he is in the end credit scene, it's a completely different scene.
It's not the same thing. Maybe it's interesting because we saw Day of Thunderbolts, and we'll spoil this because the movie's been out for a couple weeks,
sure,
and no one's watching it now anyway, apparently. So whatever. We know they showed us the Fantastic, the ship anyway, approaching Earth,
and they said that was filmed by the Russo brothers.
Right. So obviously, I've heard a theory that's Doctor Doom in that ship. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. But someone's coming. Fantastic Four is coming to this Earth.
Sure.
So I'm going to assume that they left their world. I would assume because the Galactus ate it up.
Maybe.
I guess. I mean, why else would you leave Earth alone? I don't know.
Maybe they're chasing Doom there because Doom took the bait.
That's what I'm saying.
Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe it's Doom's in that one, whatever. Because someone knows his ship, and they showed in the trailer had like 3 little whatever things in the back, engines, whatever you want to call them, and in the movie is actually 4.
Could be.
So it might even be the same ship. So interesting. So we'll see. But yeah, for sure he's not in. That's not the end credit scene. He may be in the end credit scene, but it ain't that one.
Nope, ain't that one. Absolutely not.
Exactly, not at all. So, but yeah. So listen, that comes out when, a month from now? No, a month and a half.
About a month and a half. Yeah, July 25th.
So we'll see. I'm hoping to see it early, but we'll definitely. I'm going to see Superman a little early. Even Amazon's going to sell tickets early
Oh wow.
for.
Okay.
If you go to Prime Premiere Access, like they sell tickets sometimes to movies.
Okay.
There's a screening on the 7th for Superman. You
Oh.
can buy tickets. It says a month, which will be tomorrow or Saturday. This which Saturday, I guess, will be. You can go get tickets for Monday the 7th, just Monday the 7th showing.
Oh.
So
All right. Yeah.
if you anybody know that, if you got Prime, you can go in there. You can actually purchase a ticket, whatever the case is.
So. All right.
It's about a week early, so that's interesting. So I'm hoping maybe seeing it earlier than that. I don't know,
Sure.
but we'll see. 'Cause speaking of getting that great test screening reviews, right? We've heard, I think, the Superman. So I'm concerned about those films. I gotta be honest. I don't know, man. I don't know. I
Hey,
really don't know,
I,
man.
I'm dumb, so I like to believe. So we'll see. I don't. I will
We'll see.
see. The optimism carries me over.
No, listen, I get it, and I think I'd rather see Superman do better than in terms of just quality. Because we still
Right.
listen. No matter Fantastic Four, I want it to be great and all that stuff, but people are gonna go in truckloads to see Avengers. That's just how
Right.
it works. They don't
Sure.
give a shit, right? It is what
Especially
it is.
because the Avengers have been out of the limelight for like 5, 6 years at
Right,
this
you're gonna
point.
get them
Yeah.
together. All these characters, people love this
Uh-huh.
shit. So I don't think there's in danger of that movie not doing well. I'd be
Right.
shocked for them movie doesn't open at 200 plus. Come on,
Right.
that's to make $1 billion in his sleep. So whatever. But let's see. We'll talk about that eventually. But that said, those are the nuggets for the week.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support you always give us. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe here on YouTube and the Latin Nerd Network. Watch those. There's just Nerdsplaining, Thanos' Choice, the Watch List, so many much stuff. Don't forget the DangerSquad.com, my comic book. If you're a nerd with kids or you're a nerd like fun like Goonies, Stranger Things type book, go to DangerSquad.com, pick up the book there. All the digital copies are available for you there as well. Don't forget to let us know what you thought about on social media. Let us know what you thought about all these takes. Let us know what your takes are. Who do you think want to run Star Wars? What do you think about the false criticism of Fantastic Four? We want to know all that. Guys, as always, I've been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom.
Bye.